A very warm welcome to this webinar on cracking finance interviews. We have an esteemed panel with us today who will be sharing their interview experiences and providing valuable suggestions which would help every finance aspirant find a secret recipe to cracking campus recruitment processes. First up, we have Soumyashi Priyadarshini. Soumyashi pursued her MBA from NMIMS, Mumbai, specializing in finance. She got recruited at JP Morgan as an investment banking summer intern. As a part of her summers and secured a PPO. She worked at JP Morgan as an investment banking analyst for a year, post which she switched to State Street in capacity of portfolio strategies. Welcome, Soumya. Second on the panel, we have Kajal Agarwal. Kajal is a qualified chartered accountant and she pursued her MBA in finance from XIM Bhubaneswar, where she stood as a gold medalist. She interned with the HSBC in their investment banking division and received a PPI. She participated and won the HSBC IB League competition and subsequently converted her PPI to a PPO. Currently, she is working there as an investment banking analyst. Welcome, Kajal. Third on the list is Ayushi Batra. Ayushi pursued her MBA in finance from SP Jain Institute of Management and Research. She interned with SBI Capital Markets as an investment banking intern. She is currently designated as a management trainee at ICICI Bank. Welcome, Ayushi. Finally, we have Leela Pai. Leela is a qualified chartered accountant, master's in commerce and an MBA in finance from NMIMS, Mumbai. She secured her summer internship at GE for their coveted financial management program and received a PPO for exceptional performance. She stood as a gold medalist for all-rounder achievement during her MBA and also secured the Best Management Student Award for the Devang Mehta National Management Affair Awards. She is currently working at General Electric in their healthcare division as a finance management trainee. Welcome, Leela. So, let's quickly get started with the session panelists. If you want to add something to your introduction, please go ahead and do so. We will start with Soumeshri.
Post which I worked in HSBC for 2 years, and then I decided to do an MBA. Yeah, I'm one of those who thought that I'm not a good engineer, hence I decided to be do an MBA and work in a bank. After MBA, I worked in JP Morgan. I got a PPO from JP Morgan as an investment banking analyst for a year. And after that, recently I have joined State Street as a portfolio strategist. And I'm still figuring out what to do. So I've been diversifying my roles, and trust me, even a person with 25 years experience wouldn't know. So it's okay if you are still figuring out your life. You're not too late about it. But at the same time, you need to prepare yourself with questions for the interviews. So we are there to help you on that, and be ready to give some gas for such kind of questions as well. But always remember that when you prepare for your answers, be yourself and be your own hard stick.
Thank you so much. Yes, Kajal, if you want to add something to your intro.
Thank you, Harsh. I think you gave a very good introduction, but like just to rectify a little bit, I didn't get the PPO from HSBC, it was a PPI, and then I had to
Okay,
convert it to a PPO.
as good as a PPO.
So I think that's the only difference. And yeah, no, it was not as good as a PPO because I had to participate in Ivy League. I have to win Ivy League, and after that I got having PPI. It was as good as not having it. And yes, I did my CA in 2016. I completed all of the attempts were like I cleared everything in first attempt. And after that, I was like not sure what to do. Then decided to wrote CAT. So I wrote CAT and went to XIMB for 2 years. One thing that was clear in my head was I am a finance person. Apart from finance, I cannot do really anything. Marketing is not really my business. So that was very much clear in my mind. I know a lot of you will be having that intuition from the very beginning that finance is something I really want to go about. While some of you might be thinking like finance marketing or both, or maybe you will drop out after a year, I don't know. But one thing I have seen that there were people in my college who were like pretty much determined, even if they were from an engineering background, that they wanted to have something in finance and they want to go out of the engineering and the marketing domain. So they made up their mind from the very beginning that finance is something they are looking for, and they really put a lot of effort, because given a background of engineering, I think it's more difficult for a person to be in finance and understand accounting and all those things than a person like us, who already knows it. Because from a commerce background, you know what is accounts, and when accounts and finance start. So I think that's the difficult part. People still get finance, but accounts is something very difficult for them. So if you are from a non-engineering background, then it's good. But if you are not, then please need to put in a lot more effort than the other generation. And going forward, I think we will take other queries and whatever questions you have in your mind.
Thank you, Kajal. Sayushi, you can take over.
Thanks, Harsh, for inviting in such a session, and congratulations, guys, for making it to a B school. Like as Soumashri said, that it's actually true that you've done the hardest part, and it's just going to be smooth for you in those 2 years if you just have the right mental state of mind. Like for my introduction, I would just like to include that uh, I've done my BCom honors from Delhi University, and after that, I worked for a year in Indus Valley Partners, which is a hedge fund consulting firm. So therein, I realized that okay, I need to leave this for like this kind of a role, and now I need to do my MBA. So I joined SPJN. So during my 2 years in SPJIMR, I did my internship with SBI Capital in the debt capital market. I was offered a PPO, but I did not want to continue my career into an investment bank, like into that part. So I just rejected it, and I wanted to go into like something which is more related to the Indian markets. So I went on to join, and now I'll be joining ICICI Bank.
Thank you so much, Ayushi. Yes, Leela, go ahead.
Hi everyone. It's an absolute delight to kind of address the MBA students because it completely takes us back to our days. We feel completely nostalgic. So, welcome to MBA. You'll have unlocked phase one and you'll have a lot more phases remaining, which is exciting, challenging, and congratulations for bagging your B school admissions. I'm sure all the close people are really proud of you. So about me, I think Harsh has pretty much given a good background. So I have been like an extreme loyalist when it comes to the NM brand name because I've done my schooling from Jamnawa University School. I've done my college from NM College, be it my BCom, MCom, everything, and even my MBA. So pretty much an NM loyalist. But apart from that, I did have work experience before doing my MBA. Right after CA, I was working as a business advisory associate with one of the CA firms. And that's exactly where I was working with startups and VCs, where I tried to be the mediator, trying to help them get funds and all of that. So that was a great experience. But that's where I actually worked with MBAs. And I realized that, MBA is something that would really add a lot of value in terms of, presentations, your communication skills, and a lot more than just that. So that's where I decided to prepare. And at the same time, I started my own entrepreneurship venture named Leela Aromatics, which is into, non-alcoholic roll-on perfumes. So yes, and after that, it was NMIMS, and it's been a great journey full of learning and development. And I'm sure all of y'all are also going to be, having a great journey. I was placed with GFMP, and I've completed a year with the GFMP. And the greatness of leadership programs is you get to work across various finance profiles, which we shall speak about going forward. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Leela. So that was a very quick introduction from you guys. We'll have to be a little quicker going forward. So, Soumya, I'll start. So, the second segment of the session would be sharing your interview experience, your summers process, and what companies you were shortlisted for, and other things. So, again, I'll start with Soumya. So, Soumya, take us through your summers journey.
Sure. So like Harsh mentioned and like I mentioned, I bagged my internship from JP Morgan, CRG, that is a centralized research group. They handle the mid office investment banking. So my process started much before my the summer internship placement season. They did the shortlist much before. So Placecom had asked us to submit our CVs Once we submitted the CVs, they went through the screening process, and they screened around, coming from NMIMS, since we have a huge batch strength, they screened around 240 to 50 people for a written test. And so every process, every screening process was divided into 50% of how many ever candidates were selected in the first stage and going forward. So around 250 people were shortlisted for the written test. The written test included questions from a variety of segments, because they wanted to cover engineers as well as the BCom, so they wanted to give equal contribution to both. So hence they asked a few finance questions, majorly aptitude questions like your quant, verbal, and there was one essay question on economics, like how will repo rate affect inflation, questions something of that sort. So there was some 100 word answer you had to give. So that was a written test. It was around 120 people were shortlisted for the workshop. So I'll tell you about GS and JP. GS and JP conduct workshops wherein they talk about what processes they follow, like how investment banking operates, the concepts, basic concepts of investment banking, because obviously no student would know about it. Even if you read up, the intricacies would be known by the company itself. So when they conduct the workshop, you need to be utterly careful. You need to listen to everything that they say, and they will ask questions in between. Ensure you take part in it. Don't DCP, just CP in it. So that would work. I know there will be a fish market for sure, because everyone will be, they know that they'll be noting down people's name. They want people to take part in it. So try to CP as much as possible. There will be a
Soumya,
case study that we're providing. Yeah.
Soumya, they
Wait.
might not know the full form of DCP. So DCP is,
Oh,
guys, it's
okay, they recently
desperate.
joined. Yeah.
Yeah, desperate class participation. So people who do DCP, they want to score more marks in their class participation segment, which they have for the overall evaluation. So what
Yeah.
she's trying to
So
say is, do not DCP. Just make sure that whatever you speak is, I mean, has some sense and not just for the sake of saying. Yeah, Soumya, continue.
okay, so like Harsh mentioned, don't try to like scramble and try to answer. They don't like that part as well. You need to be very subtle when you're answering. Very confidently you need to answer whatever you're confident about. I'm sure engineers will be facing that issue as to they don't know much of finance, but there will be basic accounting questions they'll be asking, not majorly about investment banking. That they will be holding a workshop to talk about investment banking, so you don't have to worry about that. So be strong with your financial accounting concepts, because the case study that they'll be giving you, like in our case they gave us a Britannia case study. So we had to do some financials for Britannia and come up with saying that why there has been a huge depreciation. Such kind of questions they will be asking, basic questions which you learn in your financial accounting concepts. So be very careful during your accounting classes. So you need to answer those questions so that you are in the oversight of the people who have come for the workshop. So after the workshop, around 30 people will be shortlisted, and from those set of 30 people, you will get a call by the buddy, and you have to be prepared. Again, engineers, when it comes to engineers, there are two section of people, two audiences which I'll be addressing. One is the engineers, one is the CA and BCom people. So with BCom people, you need to be confident with corporate finance concepts, your advanced financial accounting concepts. And accounting, I don't mean by balancing the equation. I mean more of a analytics kind of a question, more concept driven questions. You need to be clear with that. I would suggest you would start preparing by going through Glassdoor and those kind of websites that help you build your concepts. So you need to be, so yeah, so CAs and BCom people, you need to be confident with corporate finance, derivatives, and financial accounting. These are the major area of subjects that you need to be confident with. With respect to engineers, your basics, they'll ask you more of analytical questions and financial accounting. So be very thorough with the concepts of accountings. Don't just mug up the formula. You need to understand what is the effect if your depreciation increases, or what is the effect if your depreciation increases. What's the effect on EBITDA? What is the effect on the cash flow? So you need to be prepared with those kind of concept based questions. In interview, there'll be 2 rounds of interview processes, and post that they will announce the results. Also, in the end, they might ask you, investment banking hardly does that, but they might ask you hygiene question as to why would you want to join IB. So such kind of questions you need to be prepared with. So yeah, that was my interview experience overall.
Okay, great. Soumya, just one addition. I did not mention this. Apologies. So, if you could give a background about your profile, as in your 10th, 12th graduation, what were your scores, so that people can relate to it, and again, your total number of work experience, total number of months.
Yeah. So I had my 10th and 12th was like a little bit above average. So it was like 93-94% I scored. In 10th I scored 94, in 12th 93.6. And in I think my shortlist point of contact was that I worked in HSBC for 2 years. Although it was not a pure finance role, but I did a more of analytics and coding sort of a role. But since I work for a bank, probably that's why they shortlisted me for JP Morgan. But I would suggest, I mean, I did not give a CFA. I prepared for CFA. So my CFA concepts during the interview helped, I would say.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yes, Ayushi, if you could share your experience.
So before SBI Capital, I sat for a few other companies also. So the one point that I felt helped me while like getting shortlisted for the companies was, so I don't know how it works in the other colleges, but like for our college, what they do is they give you an option to like they divide the finance into 6 parts, and then they give you an option to submit the CV accordingly. So, but it did not mean that I had 6 versions of CV, because it's very difficult to prepare. So I just had 2 versions of CVs, one for the consulting and the FMCG kind of companies, and one for a pure finance companies. So basically, what I believed was that the keywords that you use in your CV for consulting and for finance, they do matter a lot, because the sentence that you start with while you're writing in your CV, that actually especially helps in consulting, while even in finance, like the words analytical and all, they do really help. Secondly, I think my academics really helped, because my 10th was like 10 CGPA, then 12th I had 96%, then even during my graduation I had 87%. So and moreover, I was kind of a fresher only, because I just had 11 to 12 months of experience. So I think for a fresher, academics do matter a lot. So that thing helped me a lot. Moreover, I would say that if you want to make your CV stand out, so do have something which is not on the CV of the other people in your batch. That might even include a single event, like which only 10 people in the batch would be having and not the others. Because even the finance companies, they do want to see your creative side. Like I still remember in SBI Capital, they did ask me about an event that I organized, which was very unexpected. So it's not purely technical or HR. So for most of the companies, for the finance companies that I sat, we only had 2 kind of interviews. First one was the technical, and the second was an HR. For the HR, I would recommend you all to just go through PNG 64. If you're done with it, then all the HR questions are more or less covered. And for the technical part, I would say that your basics should be very, very clear. Even though like you're from a BCom graduate, like a BCom graduate, they will ask you the question that Somesh was talking about, that what effect does depreciation have? Because it's very easy to study and give the exams, but it's very difficult to get the concept inside you. So I believe that these are the few things that you need to remember. So like during my interview experience with SBI Capital, it was more about that I had all the projects on my CV which were equity related. So they wanted to know that whether I'll be comfortable in working in the debt capital market and how much do I know about it. So like they kind of considered me as a fresher only for that market, because I've never like even the theory part, I just know a basic of the bond and the debt market. So they were asking very basic questions. The main point is they want to check your inclination towards that profession. So if you have that inside you, and if you can show that in the interview, that will really help a lot. So these were the things that really helped me.
And Ayushi, when you said that there are 2 rounds of interviews, HR and technical, so in technical, is it only the basics which these people ask, like the interviewers, and also a follow-up question? This was your experience with SBI Caps. What was your experience, and how was it different for ICICI Bank?
So see, like in my college, we have autumn's internships. So definitely we do our semester 3 and then we go about with giving our interviews. So we do have a lot of finance projects because your semester 3 is properly a major specialization that we do. So everyone in like those 60-65 people, everyone would be having a project on investment banking, and they do know that if you've passed an exam, like you know a bit about it, so they're really not very interested in knowing about it. So one thing that I would say is, if you can have any such kind of project which is related to the financial statement analysis, that is going to help you a lot. Because I remember in like for both the interviews, I would say that's a coincidence. For SBI Capital as well as ICICI, they actually made me write the whole cash flow statement. Like they gave me a problem and they made me solve the whole cash flow statement. So that is that this is something very basic that if you're from a commerce background, you would have done that in your 12th or maybe in your graduation. But this is the main thing that they want to check, because if you can't analyze the report, then you can't move forward, because they know that you would be knowing the big terms like QIP and buyouts and all. They're not very interested in that. They're more interested in the basic side. So in SBI Capital, they asked me the questions about, they actually asked me about my presentation skills, that whether I'll be comfortable making presentations maybe 10 years down the line, and will I be like happy working on an Excel. So these were the kind of questions that they were asking. And in ICICI, it was more about like they gave me a set of questions, and then they were asking me about like what effect it will have on any of the financial statements. Moreover, the project that I did in my SBI Capital internship, that was in real estate investment trust. So they were in general asking me about the real estate market. So if you have any particular sector that you have interned in or maybe worked before, and you're writing it on your CV, be thorough with that sector, not with the part that you've done in the internship, but with the current scenario of that sector, because they're definitely going to ask you about that.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you for your additions. So yes, Leela, if you could share about your experience, because for CAs and people who already have a background in finance, their interview might be very different, and the things which they might be asked is very different. Because I had a friend who came into investment banking, and she was also a CA, but in her interview, she was asked about the subjects in CA like auditing and taxation. So how do you handle those sort of questions? Yes, Leela, go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, firstly, I believe when you all are, in your respective B schools, just kind of, I would say, start off with making an Excel sheet with what kind of companies actually come to your campus, with what kind of profiles, because that's very important. Because the profile that you apply for needs to very much, resonate with your goal, your passion, your interest. Do not go for it because the package is good, or the company is great. And so this is very important in the beginning. Discussing about my personal experience, I sat for 3 interviews, and my third interview was with GFMP, which worked in my favor. But my first experience was with a very good brand name, but I had just applied for it because it has a great reputed name, and the profile is something I wasn't even interested in. And I got shortlisted for it. And the
Which was that?
worst case was, I don't want to name that company.
You can name that
So
company. That's fine.
it was a profile which I wasn't interested in, and I went till the last round. I almost got selected, but I was
Oh, I
really
get it.
scared because
I
I
get
didn't
it.
want,
Really,
I
right?
I,
get it.
I can
So
relate to that. We both were in the same day, same night. We were in the same
exactly.
boat.
Right. So that
Different
was really
profiles,
bad
but yeah.
because, yeah, exactly. So it was really bad because I wasted my time, I wasted the company's time, I wasted everyone's time there. But the problem here is we end up following the herd mentality. We end up doing, we have that fear that we won't get placed on day zero. So you end up applying for random profiles, random companies, which is extremely wrong. So lesson number one is choose wisely what you want, not what others want. That's really important. That's what I learned out of my first interview experience. Going forward, my second interview experience is something that I really wanted. All right, it was a great profile, it was a great brand name, but again, the funny part is I was the first one to get done with all the interviews, like all the rounds, and everyone was pretty sure that I'm getting selected, and everyone was congratulating me even before the results came out. I think even Soumya must be knowing this, Harsh must be knowing this, which
Is it
company, but again,
CT?
I don't want to name. No, 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 not CT. It was
CT is the profile.
CAU, I think. Anyway,
Okay, okay,
CAU. No.
okay.
So anyway, So, and what happened is the results came out and everyone was congratulating me, but my name wasn't there. So then I realized what went wrong. I was just trying to think. The one thing that went wrong was my HR round. So you can imagine, so if everything goes well and your HR round doesn't go well, and why? Because they were against my entrepreneurship experience. That is something that didn't work out, and they always tried to tell me that no, you'll get back to your business. And I was tired trying to convince them that no, I do not want to get back. Corporate is something that I want to stay in for the next few years. I see myself as a CFO, this, that, but no, I just got rejected. So the second interview taught me a lesson that irrespective of what happens, you just have to embrace it. Like, do not give up. You just have to keep, getting better and just being stronger, I would say. And my third interview was with GE, the FMP program, which was amazing because the funny part is the one thing that they were impressed with being the leadership program is my entrepreneurship experience. So that's where I realized that these interviews and the GDs or whatever, all of this is very company specific. So it's better to focus on giving it your best shot than to focus on what did not work out. So it's better to move on and prepare much better. And so yeah, it's so just don't get bogged down if you don't get selected for the profiles that you all have selected. Just work harder and go on with it. So some tips that I thought to kind of write
That's
down
for
or
later. That's
note
for
down
later.
all. No.
That's
It's during the summers. It's during the
Asha.
summers, which I did. All right. So in terms of like, for example, in terms of your CV, like Ayushi correctly mentioned, the right words. Sometimes what happens is we end up just making our CVs longer or adding random things just for because others have a better CV, others have more degrees, or unnecessary things that we add on, which I feel is completely unnecessary because you need to know your CV very well. So whatever you have, whatever you actually done, it's better to be honest there, right? Another thing is what I felt in all the interviews that we faced is a little bit about your general awareness. So in that time it was demonetization, like Harsh said, even GST for that matter, and all of these things. I'm sure this time it's going to be COVID and the pandemic situation and all the unpredictability that we are facing. But of course, you're a special batch. Maybe going forward there'll be case studies on your batch. So you never know what's going on. So all of this is something that you need to be well versed with. For CAs, I would say the interviews are very rigorous in terms of technical because they expect you to know much more than what an engineer or even for that matter a commerce grad knows. So your technical rounds can go a little longer and it might be a little more, I would say, specific because even small things like Ind AS or accounting standards or even like he said direct tax and indirect tax, what is so random things which maybe you must have not even seen right now because so many of us have become CS 4 years ago, and after that we've come into an MBA. So we need to make sure that we are well updated with these things, because let's face it, it's not fair to compare an engineer who's just been introduced to finance or maybe a month ago, and you have a CA or even for that matter a commerce grad who has a better hand in accounting and finance. So CAs, you'll have to make sure that your concepts are a tad bit better. You're able to present it better in the interviews. And again, I would say in terms of profile specific, you need to know that if it's an FP&E profile that you're applying for, just make sure your financial statement analysis has to be strong. So you're working on your, say ratio analysis or something like that. In terms of a value, in terms of an investment banking profile, I'm sure valuation methods is something that they look at. In terms of research profiles, a lot of these industries, so you can just pick up one industry and kind of try and understand that more. If you guys are, if someone's very much into the trading and investing in shares, y'all can actually take that as a step to make your interview better by speaking about it only if you are 100% well versed with it. Otherwise, don't make the mistake of ruining your summer's placement. So yeah, and I think about the tips to crack an interview, we shall cover it going forward.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Leela. Yes, Kajal, if you want to add something. Not add something, but talk about your experience, someone's experience.
Okay. So I think the three girls actually covered a lot, and the tips they shared were really they would be really helpful for you guys. So in terms of my experience, I think my summers, uh, I think HSBC IB was the second company for which I was shortlisted. The first company was also HSBC, but that was the commercial division part. and commercial division, the first round was GD itself, and it was not a GD, it was a fish market. So I didn't really try it much because I didn't like the environment in the fish market kind of setup. And I tried to speak quite a few times, but it was impossible because people were just making random statements and it was all very weird. So it was very weird. So after that, I didn't even try in that GD. So it was okay. But one thing I think before these interviews and shortlist, one thing that was very clear in my mind was finance. I didn't apply for marketing profiles altogether. I don't want to suggest this to you guys, but for people who are very sure that they want to make a career in finance, and then you need to know that which all companies you need to apply. So finance, if you are clear, then as mentioned by Leela, then make a list of companies that come to your colleges. Make sure that you know these companies and the profile for which you are applying or you want to apply for, because it's very important you know that what are the kind of profiles that come to your company, which are the companies, and what is their process. So get in touch with some senior to get an understanding of the process of this company, because even if for the same profile, be it investment banking, the process will be very different from HSBC to Goldman to other. So it's very important to know the process of each of the companies for which you have in your mind that okay, I may want to enter into this company. So for HSBC, I got in touch with my senior who already interned from there. So he told me about what are the process of HSBC. So I think I got my preparation started a month before even the company made a shortlist. So you can imagine that I was so like focused that okay, this is the company I want to go, and I was very confident about my CV that okay, I'm a chartered accountant, and this is the company which is good for me, and this is the best thing I can get from my college, and I will hit this profile. So I started preparation around a month and a half before even the company came. So get in touch with your senior, know for this company what is the process, what are the kind of questions do they ask, and what's the kind of preparation do you really require. Because I think given a good amount of time, if you invest, maybe a 15-day time or a week is even good enough to make yourself well groomed for any profile or any kind of interview process. Because once you get the short list, it's a very short span to really prepare for anything, because then I think you'll get only 2 or 3 days, so it will become very difficult. So start preparing beforehand. In terms of like the process, the first round was JD, and yeah, the same topic, GST was our topic in HSBC. But for the IB division, they were very clear that in the GD, they told it beforehand that make this a boardroom discussion. So there was no fish market kind of scenario. It was very respected. Everyone was heard. Everyone was like speaking very politely, and there was no fish market. And I think in any GD, it's very helpful if you really make it a point that you are not going to scramble and just say whatever you want to say, even if you are contradicting other people. Make sure that you get a right time to speak and you speak well when you are getting a time. So that's very important to crack a GD first of all. And yeah, be prepared for some of the hot topics which are running right now. This time it's going to be COVID for sure, like one of the most important topic. Like what will be the impact of COVID on maybe the GDP or the economy in general, or maybe the job market. It won't just be what is going on in COVID. There will be some questions around what is its implication. So try to like analyze what are the different implications that the world is facing, not only in India, but what are the different aspects of it in other markets as well. Be it debt for the debt for an economy, because India's debt is really going to rise once the income is falling. Because like you can go in details of these things. So I think that's the part on GD. After that, the interview part. So yes, it's a technical round and it's really grilling. maybe for 1 hour or so you will be in the interview room, and with all sort of questions being bombarded to you one after another. So be prepared for that in terms of technical skills. There will be I won't say much of finance, but more of accounting is what I faced. In terms of accounting, basic things like they mentioned what is the impact of depreciation. They can ask, like, give your transaction, maybe say this is what is happening, or a one line statement, tell the impact on the financial statement. So you have to give the two impacts, not the one impact. Suppose depreciation, it will surely have one impact on the PNL, and the other impact will be on the balance sheet. So both of aspects you have to cover rather than just one. Be very much confident about your answer when you are giving it. Take some more time if you are not sure, that if you need 2 more minutes to calculate or make up your mind, please have that. There is no harm in asking for some more time. So I think that's there. And for me, I knew it was a IB profile, so valuation will be a thing. So I was prepared on some of the basic questions of valuations, like what are the different methods of valuation, like which method is used when. So these were the questions that I was faced. So for me, the most important part was being prepared. So and I was like really prepared for the interview, I would say. So that gave me a lot of confidence when I was answering, because most of the questions I knew it very well. Basic accounting questions like cash flow, adjustment questions, and all this were like very, very basic. So
So
even
Kajal,
I think there was a back to back
Just a follow-up
of
question.
like 10 to just a second.
Yeah, just a follow-up
Sorry.
question. Just a follow-up question that you are saying that you are totally prepared for your interview. So how did you prepare it? Did you
Yeah.
prepare it in consultation with the senior which you were talking about, like talk to a senior who's in that company and what sort of interview experience they had, so that you can maybe prepare on those lines? Or how did you prepare exactly?
Yes, you are right. Like I took guidance from my senior, like what are the kind of questions do this company generally ask. So that gave me a lot of insights on in what all lines do I need to prepare, like the basics of valuation, like what are the methods of valuation.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Kajal.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. We heard it. So thank you so much for your
Okay,
insights.
okay. I have turned
No,
off my interview
sure. Now we'll just
video. Sorry.
get into say the valuable advice which these people have with respect to interview preparation strategies. Like how can you go about cracking interviews? Because one thing is having a stellar profile, getting shortlisted, but cracking and converting interviews is a very different thing. So even if you, in fact, if you have a stellar profile and maybe a lot of things in your CV, you'll have a very like a more tough time in your interview because you'll have to justify those things. So these people, I'll just let them go one by one, talking about what sort of generic preparation strategy would they suggest for you guys as to how to prepare for any profile in finance. So there's one non-banking role that you get, and finance is divided into two different aspects. One is banking, then one is non-banking profiles, which is like your credit analyst profile, your corporate finance profiles, and other sort of finance profiles in FMCG companies. And then one, you have a banking profile. Banking does not only mean investment banking. Banking means commercial banking, retail banking, corporate banking, and you have a lot of different sort of segregations in banking itself. So, and then there is one core finance domain where you have equity research, you have financial valuations, and then at the same time you have quantitative finance, and then coding into finance, or financial analytics, fintech companies. So this is the segregation of the different profiles of finance which you get at a business school. So we'll go one by one, and then these people can start talking about how to prepare for such interviews. Yes, Somish.
Okay. Good that you mentioned, Harsh. You segmented each of the profiles, so that be easier. So while preparing, I use like a four-prong approach, which was like know your concepts, know your market, know your firm, and know your hygiene. So I would say when it came to concepts, I had to diversify the area in which I was, the role in which for which I was preparing for. So, like Leela mentioned, it's better to create an Excel and maintain a tracker, daily tracker as to what all concepts you're covering each day. I'm sure your first trimester knowledge won't be sufficient. So you need to do a little bit detailed preparation, especially like if you already have the knowledge for BCom and CAs. Like Leela mentioned, you need to revise those concepts, and day to day you need to keep a track of these, put a checklist of these concepts I've covered. So that is your concept part. For engineers, I would suggest if you can refer to CFA book, which I did personally, which helped me a lot. Because in CFA books, they explain the concept part of it rather than just the formula part of it. So interviews, when they ask you questions, like how do you do a PNL adjustment and how will it affect your cash flow, you can easily correlate and answer the questions pretty well. So the financial accounting book, FRA book, that is financial reporting and analysis book, which is available in CFA, if you can go through that, then I think nothing will beat that. Because in JP Morgan, I think if I whatever I had prepared for it, whatever Excel sheet I was maintaining to go through, I mean to remember those concepts, when they asked me the questions, it was exactly similar to what I prepared in CFA. So CFA L1 book, it's more than sufficient. L1 FRA, financial reporting analysis concept. If you're an engineer, if you're a BCom and CA, you can definitely revise through the concepts. So that was the first. The second approach, what I did was I had to go through every day. I need to read the newspaper and make notes of the highlights, because you tend to forget, right? So today, COVID-19 situation, let's say the repo rate has reduced by 25 basis points. How has it affected the market? You need to make a note of those, and because when they're asking you questions during the interview, it won't strike, or when you're having a GD. Lucky for me, I did not end up having a GD in JP Morgan. So does GS, they don't conduct GDs. But if you, let's say, I was sitting in for ICICI Bank as well. Later, because I had a short list, I had to tag that. So so in ICICI, I remember they had asked questions, and the GD, financial GDs, are very calm and composed. There's no fish market over there, like Arjun had mentioned. So you need to be very clear with your what you're going to speak about, because if you go haphazard and people are going to the point as to what has happened, then they'll obviously screen you out immediately. So even if you're trying to contradict somebody else's point, still it won't help you. So please make a note of what you're reading up in the newspaper, because you tend to forget. 3 months later, you won't remember. So that is the second thing, know your market. The third approach, what I did was know your firm. So like Leela mentioned, you need to list down the firms that are coming to college, so that you have an idea as to what the firm's approach and all, and what are the company's short-term, long-term goals are. Believe me, like what Leela has mentioned, you need to be very thorough with we need to be like a cultural fit for the company. If the company doesn't want don't want to be an entrepreneur, you need to prepare well in advance as to why you'd be a better fit for the company. Align yourself with company's short-term and long-term goals. That's what they're looking for. Trust me, even a person with really good technical knowledge like Leela, even these people suffer because of HR type questions. So you need to know the company, you need to understand what the company is into, which is its major revenue business lines for major revenue, so that you need to align yourself saying that, okay, I can help you gain that in future, or I'll be a value addition to your company. So the third important thing is know your firm, and the fourth important thing, what I would say, is your hygiene question. You need to be prepared with questions like why are you suitable for the company, and the questions like why do you think IB is your go-to role, because you know the kind of workers in IB, I'm sure. So I mean, it's the most coveted role, but at the end of the day, you need to work 18 hours, let's be frank. So you need to be prepared as to why you want to enter IB, or why you want to enter corporate finance. So you need to be prepared with such kind of role-based questions, and keep those answers ready at the top of your mind. Keep your about you questions very crisp and short, because I'll tell you, interviewers get really bored if you go on blabbering as to yeah, I did this. Okay, what is so different about you? You need to be prepared with such kind of questions. Like what differentiates you from other candidates? That's one of the most key factors. What sets you apart? And they'll ask you about your experience. So know your CV very well. If you have written something, even a one pointer as to mentioning that you have done this, and if they target that, you need to be well in advance prepared as to how to crack that question, because they might just go in depth into that question. They might forget about the entire CV, entire interview process, And if you're not confident about your CV and you're not able to answer what you put into the CV because you've done it, you should be knowing it, then that will be a differentiating factor between you and the other candidates. So these are the 4 things. You need to be well advanced and prepared. You have a good sufficient amount of time. So keep a daily tracker, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Soumeshri. I'll just add a couple of things in the things which you mentioned. So, for know your firm, what you can do is obviously one person will not get shortlisted for each and every company which visits the campus. So, what you can do is, if suppose you are interested into a specific profile, like say a corporate finance profile or a corporate treasury profile, so pick up those companies from the placement report which come for these profiles and start preparing for these companies. Like know these companies in and out, because if you do not know about a company which you're sitting for, how can you differentiate yourself from the crowd who's sitting for that company? So that is something which will make you stand out. So what you can do for that is, if suppose you're sitting for say a company like SBI Caps or Duff and Phelps, what you guys have to do is maybe research on the company, see the top 5 deals, what these companies have done. Top 5 deals doesn't mean just not an IB. In any company, in any finance company, they'll have some sort of client which they'll cater to. So maybe get the list out of, you'll get it easily available on the internet. See the top 5 clients of these companies, how much revenue does this company generate from these clients, and then what is the ticket size. So these things you have to know in advance. This is what knowing a company is. Doesn't I mean knowing a company does not mean when it was established and what sort of segments it is into, that everyone knows. You have to know specific things which you are interested in. If suppose you're sitting for a project finance role which comes for, I mean, SBI Caps comes for a project finance role as well. You have to know how a project is financed over a period of time. Like a project is like a special purpose vehicle which these different companies maybe have from time to time, like just like a venture, a joint venture. So what you do is you maybe try to model it out in an Excel. It's all about Excel modeling in project finance. So what you do is you see how much amount of finance would be required at each stage of your servicing. Maybe it's a product line, or maybe if you're getting into a new segment, new product line, how would you distribute the funds which you have to deploy into that thing? So these things you have to know. How does that company go about? When it comes to the culture which Soumya was mentioning, like you go to the company's website, see. Trust me, finance companies, 80% of the companies will give importance to whether you are a culture fit or not. There were people who were CA, CFA, FR, and CS, all 4 degrees plus an MBA, still they were not selected, and someone who just had a mediocre BCom grad was selected because that person was a culture fit, and the one who knew everything about finance was not selected because it's not about technical skills. Ultimately, when you are scored in your interviews and in your processes, the weightage of that technical expertise is just 20 and your HR is 80. Even if you score 20 out of 20 in your technical, if you score say 40 in HR out of 80, your total score will be 60. And someone who is good with say HR and maybe a good culture fit can score 70 in just HR and give you a tough time, even though that person does not have 3-4 degrees. So do not have this preconceived notion that you have to have a CFA degree, a CA degree, or any sort of a degree to maybe get into the interview round and get selected. It's just the knowledge. So Soumya did not mention that you have to go for a CFA level 1 to give yourself an advantage. She mentioned that you have to do refer a book which you generally do for a CFA level 1 to get the knowledge out of it. That is what this entire thing about finance interviews for summers is. You have to know the basics. No one will ask you maybe the impact of uh, COVID on say the revenue line of Indigo, maybe any sort of a company. This is something which you'll not know. The quantifiable impact, you cannot quantify it, but obviously, on a generic note, you can give your perspective as to we feel that the airline industry did not operate for 3 months, so the revenues will be nil. How will it impact going forward? How will the revenues be similar? I mean, what revenues the company had, say, 1 year previously, the last quarter of the similar FI. So those sort of things you have to know. Whenever you sit for a company, if you have mentioned the sector, you have to know in and out about that sector. Like if suppose I had one sector mentioned in my CV, which was FMCG sector, and obviously I'd mentioned the company as well, which was ITC. So I'd done research on ITC, but they did not ask me on ITC. They asked me about a company which is in that sector, which I did not do any research on. So I was caught in that Pandora box. So make sure that whatever you put on your CV, you're not just thorough with that particular company, but that sector in general, because they can ask you in and out about a particular sector if you start answering questions. The problem with these interviews is if you start answering questions, these interviewers will get deeper and deeper into the concepts because they'll understand that you know the basics, and now it's time that they dive deeper into the concept. So if suppose you're thinking, if suppose you feel in your interview that this is not taking a right direction, now they're getting into a very specific and say technical things, I should stop myself and say, even if you know a particular question, it can work in your favor by saying probably I do not know much about this, so I'll get back to you with an answer to it. I just had myself done with the basics before the interview happened. So these things can work in a favor because even if you know the basics, you have gone into the deep diving of say different concepts, and if you're not able to answer that, you're rejected, even though your basics were strong. Because again, these people have this connotation कि अगर if this guy knows this much, तो फिर इसको ये भी पता होना चाहिए था. Like he should be knowing this also, because this was an associated or a related part of it. So make sure whatever you put in your CV, again, I'm saying basic financial aptitude is very important. I've already put up the way in which you can get basic financial aptitude. As Soumya again mentioned, current affairs is very, very important. It's important to know how a news, a rumor, whatever development happens in the economy impacts our economy, the different companies or sectors. You have to be analytical from that point of view. So thank you, Soumya. Yes, Ayushi, you can share your tips.
Okay. So first of all, like as Harsh has already divided it into 4 parts, so I'll start with the FMCG. FMCG firms were the only one where I've attended the GD. Like for us, we had GDs in not even in the finance companies for that matter. So for an FMCG, if it's a firm like, I would just say that you guys need to be aggressive in GD because it's along with the people who are sitting for the marketing profile. So like there are a lot of firms who have this common GD. So you need to speak out. Like I was also the one who is very hesitant in speaking out in the fish markets. But if you really want to pursue a role into corporate finance, because they have a culture similar to this in their office, you need to be aggressive while putting your point. So so if you clear the GD, they have 2 rounds of interview, one the technical and one the HR. So it has equal importance. In the technical, I would say that they usually ask you about the basics of accountings and about financial management, like how you should go about with the calculating the cash flows or maybe evaluating a project like NPV. You should be very thorough with these kind of concepts. So they're definitely going to ask you, no matter you're from a commerce background or not. So if you're aiming a role like this, you should definitely like prepare of the topic of financial management related to the projects part. Then thirdly, they have this HR round where they're definitely going to ask if there are competitive firms coming to your college, suppose like HUL and PNG. They're definitely going to ask why not PNG, because they're at the same level. So you need to be very sure and use the correct name of the company, especially in the HR interview. Because there are a lot of friends of mine, because these companies come at the same day, so abruptly you just say PNG in an interview of HUL, and that's straight away you're rejected for sure. They're not going to like handle that part. Secondly, like the e-commerce roles that come, like the Amazon and Flipkart, they have this financial analyst role that they come up with. There also Amazon has like 2 or 3 rounds of interview, depending on how your previous rounds are. Minimum 2 rounds will be there for sure. So in the first round, they're going to ask you like proper accounting questions about direct taxes, indirect taxes, about your accounting ratios, because it's a proper financial audit kind of a role that they'll be giving to you. In the second, the HR round, so Amazon has this bar raiser kind of a thing. So there are these 7 ethics of Amazon. They're definitely going to pose you questions on that. So be prepared with like every life example related to that one ethic. So they're not going to directly ask you, but indirectly they're going to put you into an ethical situation and they're going to test you. So this is the bar raiser that Amazon typically has, and Flipkart does not have this kind of a thing. They'll go with the normal HR thing. They might ask you why not Amazon. Then comes your investment banks. So in investment banks, the technical part that I covered earlier. Like the typical questions about valuation, how you should figure out like. So my interview was mainly on the part of assumptions rather than on the quantifiable part. So it was more like, how would you take an assumption to calculate this or that? So mainly your logical approach should be there. Then I would say that reading the newspaper every day would definitely help you in this, because if that investment bank is into particular sector, they're going to ask you views about it. So if you have researched about that sector, it might help you. Then comes the HR round in investment banks. They're definitely going to ask you why investment bank and not banking. So it's something that you need to have that passion and dedication towards, that why. So those why questions, you have to be very, very well prepared. So the one thing that I did during my preparation was like make a very good CV. Even though there would be a lot of people who would be having a lot of things in your on your CV, but like you have to be very specific of what you're putting, because you have to actually defend that thing in your interview. So don't just put any random stuff. So if you like whatever you have it on your CV, make it like very crisp and short. And while preparing each and every point, go down like 3 layers of why. So maybe if it helps, you can write down the answers also. So for the first point, just write a why. That why have you written that? Sort of an example. Then why. Like go about digging this. So this might help you when they're asking you questions. And for the HR questions, I would suggest that the best way of cracking them would be, for every question that they ask except the why questions, have a life example prepared with you. Like suppose like for FMCG companies, they're very much into that if you're a creative or an aggressive kind of a person. So it might help you if you have a life example like this, that you know you were a part of that kind of an event, or maybe I would say that some creative side that you have. So have a life example prepared. It will actually help you a lot while defending your answers. And for the banking, so in ICICI, I had 2 rounds. One the like the technical and the HR. So in the HR, they're going to ask you about your family background, and then why you want to do banking. And if like so, my case, I had an internship in investment bank and then banking. So they wanted to see that what was the transition and why I did not want to continue in an investment bank. So again, those why questions, and they might ask you that like why ICICI. There are other, like there is other good bank also. So that is the kind of question that they might ask you. And for the technical, so the thing is, financial statement analysis was the biggest thing that helped me. They're going to definitely ask you about the 3 different financial statements and the ratios. So that was the technical part that I had in the interview. So it was more of the basics that you need to be clear with. Yeah.
Thank you, Ayushi. Yes, Leela.
Yeah, so I think firstly I'll answer Bhuvan's question. So he has a question saying that if y'all are confused. So honestly, I thought of doing an MBA because I wanted to switch my career into marketing, because I felt I'm more of a marketing person, because I like that. It's just like something that I was kind of more towards, I would say. But what kind of stopped me is in terms of the profiles that are offered in marketing. So after 2 years of experience, maybe I thought I'm not cut out for a sales profile, or I'm not cut out for something that I'll have to start afresh. Because being a CA and being a master's in banking and finance, for me, finance was something that I was really well versed with. Even in college, I often remember, engineers. I used to actually teach a lot of people who were having a lot of problems with the basics of finance. So that's when I kind of realized that finance is my calling rather than marketing, and I don't think so. It's really wise for me to switch at that point of time to a marketing profile just because I'm like interested in it. So I took some time out. I saw the profiles, I saw the JDs, and then I realized that what really interests me more and what really is my calling is finance. And then I was like, let me just continue with what suits my profile and what maybe I have a better conceptual knowledge of. So that is to answer you, Bhuvan. I hope I've answered it. And speaking about in terms of the cracking interviews, I would say there are 8 general pointers which you all need to know. The first one being create a question bank. So this is something that even we had a practice in NMIMS. I don't know how it works in other colleges, but NMIMS gave us, not NMIMS the college, but the seniors rather, gave us question banks, and we had to keep on adding to it. So what happens is, like, a lot of our committees also come together and all of us keep adding questions to it and helping each other, because in the end, MBA is not about yourself. It's about everyone. It's about networking. It's about helping each other and growing together, and not just doing things to yourself, finding out stuff and just helping yourself. No, that's not how it works. So create a question bank, share it with people, and you will keep getting that knowledge. You'll keep giving that knowledge. That is something that is really helpful. And so start creating a question bank from now, from topics which you might come across. Like even they mentioned about companies. You need to know your company very well. So the one thing that even I often did was apart apart from the website, I even went onto the news, the recent news of that particular company, the recent things, the recent changes, or the recent maybe some sale that has happened, or amalgamation, or whatever. So kind of trying to understand more recent events of that particular company. About Okay, so that's my first point: create a question bank. Second, I would say, if you do not know something in an interview, there'll be a lot of times where you'll be having questions which you really don't know about, right? So it's better to be honest and say you do not know, rather than faking it and giving all the wrong answers and making a fool of yourself. So that is something that you all should be careful. Third is, don't be negative. Try and be as positive and as do not say anything negative, do not be negative during the interview. Try and be as positive and spread that positivity at that point of time. Even if you're tense, even if you're nervous, try and not show it, because that's what really helps. When your mind is calm, when your face is not like tense, and because in that kind of a this, you can't even think and maybe answer. Another thing that's very important is, you need to, whatever question is rolled out at you, do not just jump at it. Think about it. You can take a 10-second pause, think about it, and then answer, because they don't want someone to just directly answer without thinking, right? Because thinking is something that's very important. So that is something you need to keep in mind. That's your fourth. Fifth is something like asking questions. So whenever the interviewer, at the end of the interview, they kind of ask you, "Do you have any questions for me?" Please do ask relevant questions, but do ask, because it shows that you're interested in that profile, you're interested in that company. Questions as simple as, what are my long-term prospects in the company, or what do you all do to motivate the employees? So simple questions like this also creates an impression, and also shows that you are interested and you genuinely want to be placed in that company. And if in case you're not, and you've applied for a company which you do not want to be a part of, do not ask, but do not even do that is what I would say. Again, tell me about yourself is something that needs to be as brief as possible. In 1 minute, you should be able to cover whatever you can, and preferably something that's not on your CV. So try and keep 1 or 2 pointers that you do not have covered in your CV, so that even the interviewer is kind of, wanting to know more about you. So that is something which is good. And be punctual. Even I think, for if y'all have online interviews going forward, I think y'all would be having, just be, sign in maybe 10 minutes earlier, 15 minutes earlier. You might have network issues or whatever. Just make sure punctuality is the key. Do not make the interviewer wait. And a very important question that they always ask you is, uh, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? Again, here you need to be as honest as possible. You do emphasize on your strengths, but make sure that you have thought of around 2 weaknesses or 3 weaknesses that you genuinely have, and you feel that you can kind of improve, because this is something that interviewers generally will ask, because they know your strengths through your CV, but they don't know your weaknesses. So that is something you'll need to be well prepared with. In terms of finance companies, as mentioned earlier by everyone, they say that there's no GD. Yes, mostly the finance companies do not have GDs, but even all, like even companies where I sat for, even after being placed, the very common thing that they have is they create questions for you. So even if you have a one-on-one, or you have like a 4 people panel kind of a thing, they create questions and they give you those questions right away, like cases, and you need to solve it right away. You need to give them an answer right away. So even in my GE interview, the technical round, he made a question in front of me and he told me, calculate this. So they'll give you the calculators. They'll be like, calculate this. So you need to kind of know your concepts very well at that point of time, even if it's, whatsoever it may be. It might be anything under the sun. Even at that point of time, if you're not able to think about it, at least do some calculation which you are aware of, but do not like just leave it and say you don't know in that case, because you're supposed to solve something and show them that even if you're able to create a ratio or analyze the ratio or analyze simple P&L, simple balance sheet, then you need to show your knowledge in some or the other way. So these are my interview tips. But even in terms of your classes, I would say the one thing that really helps you all in the interviews is going well prepared for your classes. I'm talking about the MBA classes that you all will have, because there'll be a lot of pre-reads that you all will be having from HBRs, or some case studies, some live business problems that have been solved. So the more you read and the more well prepared you are with respect to this, you will be able to use that knowledge in the interview, and that's very important. And secondly, what I've observed here is, see, what happens is, do not be an anonymous person even going forward, because you all will be having classes, you all will be having interviews or whatever you all will be having online. If you're going to be anonymous, they won't recognize you. Creating visibility is the key right now, and through online classes, if you're going to be having that, you need to maybe ask questions. You need to be out there, that we know that you are listening. I mean, right now I'm not saying, but I'm even saying going forward. So creating that visibility and making a name for yourself even through an online portal is very important. So do keep that in mind. So yes,
Thank you.
that's all.
Thank you, Leela. Thank you. Quickly, if you guys can also give a brief about how to make sure that you convert a summer internship into a PPO. Like, one thing is covered now, the preparation part is covered, the interview is covered, everything is covered. Now, how can someone like a student who's placed at a very good company, how can that person go about converting into a PPO? What sort of things should they do while their internship, like the summer internship of 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is? What things should they keep in mind while they do their internship in these 2 3 months, like how to convert into a PPI or a PPO? Soumya, Leela, whoever wants to take
Yeah.
it. Soumya, you can
So
start.
like Kajal has mentioned, you forgot to mention that even JP Morgan gives PPI, not PPOs directly. So we had a round of interview post which we got a PPO. Um, but I'll tell you what, the majority of which is decided during your internship, during your 2 months of internship. Somebody over here, Michelle, was asking me this question that I mentioned, 18 hours of work hours. Uh, During your internship, yes, you have to work. You will hardly get 4 to 5 hours of sleep. I mean, I'm talking about weekends as well. You will have to work during weekends as well. And apart from your normal day-to-day work, which HIB has a lot, by the way, you preparing from pitch books to doing valuations to everything. Apart from that, you'll be given a project, which is in addition to the normal work which they give you. So yes, it will be hectic for you. So going to my PPO thing, 2 months of internship. In the month of April and May, it was very hectic because they gave us a lot of problem statements which we had to solve as and when we were working. So you should basically in IB, I can speak for IB, that you need to show that you're ready to work for. You need to show the willingness to work, and that is one thing my VP had mentioned. Sophia, however your project goes, don't worry, but you need to show your dedication, that you are committed to giving in this much amount of time. It's possible that during your work hours it may be 18 hours, or sometimes it may be 9 to 10 hours as well, but you need to show the commitment that you're ready to work for 18 hours. So it need not be in IB, in other sectors as well. You need to show the commitment that you're committed for the PPO. You are ready to work really hard. After you get a PPO, you're not going to give up. So that is one major thing I would want to point out. And second thing is your project. It matters a lot. We were given a problem statement of preparing an LBO model, and certain targets we had to prepare, for which we had to do the valuation, and post which we were supposed to give a presentation to our ED. So during that time, in investment banking, your attention to detail, ATD, matters a lot. So you need to be very careful with respect to your presentation. Even if your finance was not that great, I've seen people whose finance was not that great because they're still learning. In 2 months you can't make a much of a difference, you know that. So you're working hard, and you're making sure that you're not making any mistake. So your ATD is another most important factor they saw during your presentation time. During your final presentation report, if they found that your pie chart did not sum up to 100, was showing 101%, it matters a lot. Because let's say tomorrow you end up getting a PPO, and you show and you give this final deck to your front end team, and they are going for a client meeting, and if a client catches, how embarrassing that's going to be. So your ATD is the second most important thing you need to be focused on. Third most important thing, it's not just in IB, in other sectors as well, they see your networking skills. So we had in during my internship time, we had a lot of interfacing sessions wherein we got to meet the India CEO Kalpana Morphia. So we got a lot of chance where we could network with such kind of people, Asia head, CEO of India. So a lot of chances we got. They wanted to see. So it was not just a party, guys. They just wanted to see that we are able to network with these people. We are able to ask them questions. They wanted to see our networking skills, basically how you build on that, not just during those time, even in your team as well, how you build on your networks. Even to the ED, there were times that we had to go and talk to the ED, talking about our experience. You're not supposed to just sit and do a desk job, guys. You have to go and talk to people. That is the third important thing they saw in IB, and I'm sure that will be applicable in other places as well. So these are the three major things that they show you: willingness, your ATD, attention to detail, when you're making presentations, and excels for that matter. And third and most important is networking. And apart from that, if you can show some sort of a differentiating factor, like in my case, I would say I was good at automation. So basically, a lot of excels they were making was very manual, and it's very tiring to keep on repeating that copy paste kind of work. So if you can sort of create a button wherein on click of a button you can just copy everything, and you don't have to put in that 4 hours extra of work, wherein IB already you need to dedicate 18 to 20 hours, so that 4 hours reduces from your work hours, business work hours. So that makes a lot of a difference. So that was one differentiating factor which I would say I bought into the company, and my VP promoted it. He showed my this particular skill to the Asia head, and he was sort of impressed. He was even wanting me to go to their modeling team, which I did not want to because I wanted to continue in IB. So that was one of the most key drivers, or I would say differentiating factors that differentiated me from the other interns. So if you can bring something of that sort, then that would make a lot of a difference, because even others can be good at ATD, good at networking. Let's face it, everyone wants a PPO. You need to be very careful with respect to how you're presenting. Not a single mistake is acceptable. I think that's more important than your finance concept, guys. After you get into the internship, it's very important. I'm highlighting this part.
Cool.
So these are the three major things. And yeah, Harsh.
Yeah. So just a couple of things I noticed when you three were speaking and when Kaji was speaking. So there was one person who was wanting to know whether, if suppose you have been pushed to a back foot in your interview, how do you come back in front and make sure that you put a strong case in front? So exactly the same thing had happened with me, because I was the last person to be interviewed in my summers, and there were 15 people, and I was the 15th guy to be interviewed, and they had literally made a mockery out of me for the first 10 minutes. They did not let me speak much. They did not go into my profile. They were like, what have you done? What is this? This is not at all related to finance. What are you doing? What are you doing over here? Because I thought they are done with the selection process already. They've selected 2 3 people, and that's why they're making fun of me and just wasting my time. So because I was pushed, I was grilled. Ki, what sort of scores do you have? Do you even deserve to sit in front of us? This sort of questions were thrown at me, and I just closed my eyes. I took a deep breath. I thought, now that I know that this interview is gone, if suppose you are at a place where you understand that this interview is gone, you have to take a chance. That's how you either win it, or anyway you're losing it. So either at least take a chance. So I took a chance. I said, I bluntly said this, that sir, if you talk about things related to finance on my profile, I would be in like. They started grilling me on finance. They did not get into any HR thing. No single question on why MBA, why finance, why evaluation, nothing. Straight away, they gave me 15 minutes that go, I mean, take your chair, remove it, go to the, I mean, towards the back of the room, stand there, and you have 15 minutes. In these 15 minutes, you have to convince us to take you for this particular job. And what you can do is, we have, say, a fund in place. I mean, what they said was that our entire fund, I mean, the savings that we have done in our life, we are giving it to you. You have to make sure that you invest this entire fund in a company, convince us to invest this in a company, and that company should not be a top rated company in India. It should be it's like a small cap or a mid cap, some company which is not reliable. So you all know that it's not, I mean, it's impossible for someone to invest firstly the entire savings that they have done in their life in stock markets. That is not possible, but that's what the challenge was, and I had to do it. So I was given 15 minutes. They would not speak a word, and that's how I started this pitch. So I presented that pitch, and it went on for 35 minutes. Neither did they budge, nor did I budge. And after 35, 40 minutes, once I was done with it, I did not realize how much time I was speaking for. So once I was done with it, the Bangalore head said, "These are your funds now. Invest this." And that's when I knew that I'm done. So the chance which I took, I've succeeded in that. So that's what you have to do when you understand that things are going in the wrong direction. Please take a chance, because anyway you're losing out on the opportunity. Okay, that's one thing. And competitors, like one of you guys had mentioned, that if suppose you have a competitor also visiting a capital, like Ayushi mentioned, for PNG and say for corporate finance roles, you have FMCG companies. You have competitors also coming for a similar profile, and these companies do keep track. Like there are certain companies which get offended when their competitors are also coming on the same day. This happened with us as well, where two FMCG companies had collided, and one did not even come for finals because they knew that their competitor was visiting the campus. That's how we missed out on one very good company. So please make sure that you do not, I mean, mess up this question, which will definitely be thrown at you. I mean, why have you come here? Did you not get a shortlist in, say, another company which is coming with a similar profile? And that's when you are actually screwed. And the last thing which I'll say is, as Soumya was mentioning, for the PPO part, there were people in my batch, people across MBA life, from different batches as well. For your summers, what you have to look at is your experience, the learning which you derive out of it. And trust me, when you're working for 18-20 hours a day during your two months, it's not so finals may. So Swami has been working as an analyst, Kajal has also been working. We don't have to work 18 hours a day. That is a myth. It's only for your summer internship that you have to work hard, because you're working on the live projects, as well as you are given a specific project which is just revolving around your summer internship. Like you'll be graded on that project. So it's just because you will be doing these two things simultaneously. That's how it gets a little hectic for you, and then you end up spending most of your weekends, like in those 8 weeks which you will be spending at the firm, or mostly 6 to 7 weekends you'll be in the office only. So that's how it gets hectic. But trust me, the learning which you'll derive out of an internship at such a company would be massive, because these people have organized internship programs. They'll just not come and hire ki, we'll come and see what sort of things we have. They have specific plans in place. Like first week will be dedicated to training, second week will be familiarity with the firm, third week will be this, that. So everything is structured, and that's how you get to learn a lot. So please keep all these things in mind, and not just a specific preconceived notion that you have to work 18 hours, 20 hours. You have to work, but it's not just the case with you. It's the case with 30 other interns who have been hired from different business schools. And even if it's 20 hours, everyone will give 22 hours, because everyone wants a PPO in a multinational. So you'll find it in your time. You'll find it when you become seniors, and then you are also in the company. So do not judge by the amount of work that you'll be doing. Obviously, we have work-life balance. It's not that we do not have a professional, personal life. Everyone has a personal life. Everyone has a professional life. It's just that you have to maybe compromise a little bit. That's it. So ठीक है, that is only for the first 4 or 5 years in the profession. Trust me, the kind of increment as in maybe the career trajectory which you'll have after working in 4 years in a multinational, it would be immense. So Leela, quickly, if you could talk about your PPO
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, so I would say in terms of the hours that you have to give during an internship, it's not in terms of a full-time job. It's only for the internship, because you have 2 months to prove yourself. You need to
Yeah.
give it your all, even if it's like an investment banking, if it's a leadership program or whatsoever it might be. You need to prove yourself. You need to create that visibility. So confidence, ability, and willingness to learn, and you should not bother if you're right or you're wrong. Your sincerity and dedication is something that's very important, and do something different. Like in my case, what happened was, in terms of the project that was offered to me, it was supply chain sourcing finance. And it was a very vendor related projects where we are analyzing the vendors, slicing and dicing, analyzing, reducing the costs. And a lot of these, it was a very media driven project, because the supply chain finance officer had come that, in Jan 2018, he had made a statement in the media saying that GE will be, rationalizing suppliers by the end of 2023. And that was the kind of project I got to work on. So it had some great visibility from the very beginning. And the one thing that worked extremely in my favor was, I was asked to present directly to the CFO and the Vice President, South Asia, Vice President, India. And my mentor last minute says, I'm not coming, so you do it yourself. So at that point of time, I was, of course, very tense, but that really worked out in my favor, because I presented it myself. They had questions, I answered it myself. So what they could observe from this is that I was completely involved in the project. I knew everything, every detail. So they asked me certain questions. I knew how to kind of answer it, because I worked on it in detail. I worked those extra hours, maybe those weekends. Some weekends I've worked extra. But of course, at the same time, you need to ensure that you're creating a network as well. So on that floor, there was not even one person who did not know me. So everyone knew me. So that's the kind of impression you need to create, because that's important, because you're not just going there to work and then bye bye. That's it. That's not how the current corporate life anyway works, because it's a lot of togetherness that's very much important, because you need to get your work, you need to get certain data from different people. So you need to speak to them, you need to network with them. You can't just go and tell them, give me this. That's not how it works. You need to be polite, you need to be empathetic, you need to kind of just make sure that you're getting your work done well, you're able to do your best in your project, and at the same time give it your best shot and not worry about the result and who's getting the credit for it, but just do your duty. That's all I would say. So that worked out for me.
Okay. Thank you, Leela. Kajal, if you want to add something from HSBC lines, like you cracked a competition and then got a PPO. Kajal, are you hearing? Are you listening?
Yeah, as you mentioned, like for HSBC, first they have their internship from which they offer the PPI, but again they come for finals and they hire through the competition called Ivy League, HSBC Ivy League. So anyone can participate in that. Even those people who had their PPI in place, they can also participate. So that happened for me. Even though it was not told by the company that I need to participate, but of course I participated, because if you have got a PPI or PPO, then at least you need to show that you are interested in the competitions that the company is creating. So that was there in my mind. That's why I put all my effort for that competition, and ultimately we ended up winning it. So that was a really nice experience. So even if some companies have given you PPI, but if there is any competition, then I would suggest that please do participate in it. It's not important that you win, because some of my other peers who didn't even get selected for the final round of the competition, but they had also participated in those competitions. So that also worked for that shows a good shine that you are interested in that company. And in terms of your internship, one thing I would like to add apart from what these guys have already told you, that you will be given a specific team. So please network with your team very well, because in HSBC, what happens that feedback matters a lot. So the team, be it a like team of 4 member, 5 member, whatsoever. So they will be the one who will be deciding whether you will be getting a PPO or not, because it's their feedback which matters a lot, apart from the project and the like whatever the submissions you will be having. Their feedback is the most important thing in place. If they say yes, the banda interested hai, acha knowledge hai, then obviously you will have a upper hand from a person who will be giving a feedback for someone saying okay, he was an average and he didn't really have much interest. So if you show a lot of interest in your work while you are interning with a company, I think that's a very positive point which will work in your favor. Please participate with the things on which other team members are doing. Ask them questions, relevant questions, and do not hesitate on asking whatever you have in your mind. Do ask whatever questions do you have during an internship, and have a good engagement with those people, because their feedback will be taken irrespective of the company, and that will really matter. I think that's all I had from my side to add.
Thank you. Thank you, Kajal. So now that we have covered the entire gamut of summer internships and the processes related to it, we open the house for questions. Soumya, Ayushi, Leela, and Kajal, like all of you, could you give a timeline as to when should a candidate start participating in competitions? Should they do it from now onwards when we do not have basic sort of knowledge in place, or should they do it maybe after 2 3 months after they've developed their basic knowledge? When did you guys start? So you guys can take it. Like Ayushi, can you start about? I mean, which was the first competition you participated in? When was that?
So in our case, what happens is that you really have very less time in the second year because you're doing your major specialization, then you have to sit for internships. So we usually do it in our first year itself. So I wouldn't say that like there are a lot of instances where our college do win when we are participating with the second year students. So I don't think so. That's really something which matters. So the first competition that I participated was in the month of August, and that was TAS. So initially, I would say that if you're not very confident, you can go with GenMan kind of competitions. So which has a case study, and you have to formulate a strategy. And in terms of competitions, like personally, this is what I feel, that do participate in them just to have just for the sake of an exposure. Don't just take the burden that if you'll not win, then something might not happen. Actually, Leela's point is right. You will definitely, like, it's good if you can end up getting a PPI or PPO after like winning the competition. But even if you don't, like, it's okay. The company will come for recruitment, so you have another chance. That's a easier way, but just don't take headache of that thing.
Yeah. Kajal, if you can throw some light on this, are you on?
So from my point of view, I think I am not in a view like you, like go on participating in all the competitions and all. So from my side, my suggestion is like be specific on what actually I think you can put your energy in, because there are a lot of competitions which should be running in parallel. So you cannot participate in each one of them. Be a little bit focused on which all competitions do you really target, and be a little bit prepared and put a lot of effort in one competition rather than dividing your total effort in, like, say 4 competition and ending up not winning or not
Any
actually
of them?
doing anything in all 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what my suggestion is. And in terms of starting to participate, I think you can start in first trimester itself, but start with like easy competitions. And once you go to like third semester and fourth trimester, you really know more about this competition. You gain experience. So if you
Okay.
really want to participate in competition, then you can start it. But yeah, do not drain your energy in 10 competition at once. Be focused.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so I was changing companies not in the role which I was working on for 1 year and did my internship in. It was a totally different area for me, like moving from investment banking to asset management. Asset management is just buy side, and investment banking can be buy and sell side. So it is difficult for you to switch roles. But personally speaking, if let's say I was working in investment banking equity side and I'm moving to a fixed income side of a asset management, if your concepts are clear in that area and they know that you're starting from scratch, they won't be focusing on for you to be knowing as to what you have done in this particular sector or what is happening in this particular. That's an added advantage, I would say. So for me, they were never asking me questions on anything related to asset management. They asked me questions related to fixed income. So that was easy for me to crack that way, I would say. So if you're looking for a switch later, which you can think of later, because right now I'm sure, even I wasn't sure if I wanted IB. I was thinking corporate finance is sufficient for me. So but I prepared for all particular roles, and later, once after a year or so, if you think of it, you're not interested in that particular role, then you can, it's an easy switch, because they won't be looking for anything particular about that particular role in that point. You'll be starting from scratch. It can be advantage and a disadvantage, I would say.
Okay. Ayushi?
So in my case, like as Somesh already mentioned, that is kind of true. So like half of my interview in ICICI, like for ICICI, was just based on that how much I've learned on the job for during that 2 months on that project. So like they just get an idea that how sincere you are towards a work that you are assigned to, or maybe how quickly you can learn things. So I don't think so that shifting will actually be very difficult, but again the part comes that why you are shifting, like why in this industry, you need to be very like prepared with that answer.
So firstly, you'll need to understand that MBA is not like any other graduation or any other course that you take up. What is different for an MBA is it has a, a plethora of opportunities that it provides you. You know, sign yourselves up to Dare to Compete. You know, they keep uploading case study competitions which are not even open to only colleges, but even for the whole country. Like I participated in an India competition, which I got to know through Dare to Compete, which was CNN News 18. So try and keep, getting yourselves up to date with Dare to Compete. In terms of your acads, make sure that you go well prepared. Like I keep saying, even when you go to classes, as much as you can, try and prepare, try and participate in the classes, because each time you participate, what happens is the professors are the gods in the end. They end up giving us their viewpoints. You learn so much that you're able to talk that in your interviews and in your case study presentations. So that also helps. In terms of committees, I would say definitely you should be a part of the committee, because it helps you manage events which are on a very large scale. Because in my first year I was a part of the alumni relations cell, and we had to every year there's a grand alumni meet which I got to organize with everyone, and even be an MC there, where I was an MC in front of like 1000 alums there, so many alums and so many students, and so many of them were there, and it was amazing. And what really you get out of it is confidence again for your interviews, confidence again for your case study competition presentations, confidence to speak in your class. So all of these things are very important. In terms of academics managing, do not again study like how we used to maybe study for a CA, or how you all used to study for your PY BCom or engineering, or I don't know how engineers, because I don't know how engineers study. But all of this is not, it's smart work more than extra donkey work. It's more of case studies, it's more of practical application, it's more of those PPTs that you go through to understand the concepts and then practically apply them. Because just learning and by hearting those definitions is not important, but using them in real life in those case studies that are actually asked in the questions is what's important, and with what you actually get your marks on. So that is something that you should be able to manage your academics with all the PPTs that are circulated, with all those kind of things. Apart from that, so yeah, committees, case study competitions, your academics, and so did I miss anything? Any other
No,
particular?
just throw some light on a day in a life of Leela Pai at Animals. That would give them an idea of how you distribute your
So
time across these different things.
right. So in my case, honestly, I would say I wouldn't have maybe chilled as much as many other students may have, I would say, because I was more focused on building my CV. I was more focused on learning. I was more focused on developing myself, because I thought you just have 2 years as a student. You need to kind of develop yourself in as many possibilities as you can, and you don't want to miss out any opportunities. So I used to either work on a competition, or I used to either kind of learn concepts or try to update myself, do some certification, just maybe get better. Because I know post my 2 years, when you join your corporate life, you don't get that student life back. It's very difficult to get back to studies. It's very difficult to, kind of have that time for you to update yourself or develop yourself in different ways. Um, Even in terms of, so I kept myself busy, so I don't think so there was even a minute I kind of wasted, or I kind of course I did have my share of fun. I'm not saying I was so boring or something, but I did have my share of fun. But you kind of need to channelize your energy in the right direction, and make a kind of a, I would say, a very rough timetable for yourself, to know that okay, you have this checklist, you need to at least. And even in competitions, if you have, like like Kajal mentioned, don't just participate in every competition. I did that, and in fact I participated in the first competition that came on campus. So yeah, I think we did some ideal case study
Ideal case
competition.
study
Yeah,
competition.
that
Yeah.
was the first competition that came on campus, and everyone was overwhelmed. We just took it up, and but later you realize, is that what you really wanted to be a part of? So maybe you might participate in 10, you might not be able to win those 10, but the 11th one you can win. So do not give up at that very moment. Keep preparing, and sometimes what happens, you can use the work that you've done for a particular competition for another competition as well. Maybe just tweak it a bit or something like that. But I think you kind of need to balance your life to make sure that you're giving equal time to, if you're taking up a committee, make sure that you're giving it your best shot. ऐसे नहीं कि सब कुछ लो and don't do justice to anything. So balance your time, make a kind of a timetable, and make sure that you're taking all the opportunities that the B schools have to offer for you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leela. A similar question to you, Aishi. A day in the life of an MBA student at SPJIM.
So I would say that initially it is actually different from the other B schools, because we do not have to prepare for the interviews just straight away we go to college. So like as Leela mentioned, that you get overwhelmed with whatever is happening on campus, but you need to find that what is the right thing you need to devote your time on. So like for personally, my case was that I had like a good academic background, so I wanted to put more focus on the other side. So I joined like one or two committees, and then like the events that happened. So it actually helps you a lot because you get to talk about something in the interview. Like even the interviewer is kind of interested in knowing about like something different, which is not on the CV of other people. Then in terms of competitions also, like just don't go around taking any competition and just putting yourself in a stressful situation. And maybe there are a lot of people who just abruptly just back down from the competitions before even submitting them. So like rather than having such a kind of an experience, it's better if you choose your competitions wisely. Like there is a proper competition, like they give you the case study also and everything. So just go through it once, and then you should put more focus on that. And in terms of academics, I would say that if you're well versed with your pre-reads and if you're just attentive in the class, uh, that's more than enough for you to score good. Like, and like if you want to come into some merit list, then definitely you have to study after the classes as well. But it's decent if you're well versed with your pre-reads and attentive in the class, because it really helps you in cracking your interviews when you're going to be for them.
Yeah, Soumyashri, same question. A day in your life at a business school.
So I would divide my life in B school as 4 C's. That is CGPA, competitions, corporate projects, and committees. So if you can try to achieve at least 3 out of these 4, you're well to go in the B school. So you've achieved whatever you've come for to attain in the B school. So CGPA is something like Ayushi mentioned. If you can concentrate in the class, pre-reads, and mostly you need to do class participation, CP, that is. So I think when you discuss among your peers and take part in those group projects, be active in it, that is 70% of your learning. Officers contribute only 30% of your learning, I would say. It's not that much. So be active in that. That is your CGPA that will contribute to that. Competitions, I think being harsh will be too far fetched. Not everyone can be
Leave
harsh.
that.
But yeah, competition, like Leela mentioned, the first case study competition we took part was ideal case study, and that was the first competition we won. So that was a good prize money that we had won that time in the beginning. Towards the and even if you don't win, don't get too stressed out. Like be developing yourself, because these competitions are the ones that's going to help you in future, because they redirect your thought process as to how to prepare presentations and how to provide solutions to a problem statement. So be prepared with that. Even if possible, you can see seniors case study solutions to get an idea. They'll be definitely helpful for that. And the third important thing is corporate project. I did my corporate project in Aditya Birla. Over there it was more into mutual funds, but since I was an engineer, they explained me about that. So I got an idea about mutual funds, but I was working in analytics mostly. So be it any corporate project, because I would say getting finance corporate projects is slightly difficult because of the data security issue. But even if you're not getting paid for it, definitely go for it, because it will add brand name first of all to your CV, and second thing is you will be getting an idea which will be helping you during your internship time as well. You can quote that you've worked on so and so project, that will be helpful during your internship as well. So third is a corporate project. And the fourth thing, I think I covered competition, corporate committee.
Committees.
Committees in the first year I was part of the finance cell. And if you really like to be part of the committee, if you're interested in conducting events, and like what Leela had done, organizing grand alumni meet, for that sake, it's a great thing, because it'll help you build your networking skills with the people around you. One thing that helps you network, and second thing that will help you during your placements as well. If you want to get in touch with people, get some ideas from alums, then help you a lot. So being part of committee helps in your networking. And also organize, like it was for me when I was part of Phenomena, and I really loved it because it was working as well as studying. So it was like a part-time MBA for me. So second year, I was very dedicated in the first year, and there'll be another round of interviews based on which they'll be selecting you for the senior committee. So if you're really interested in first year, if you're really dedicated, only then go for it in the second year. Because you're not sure about the PPO and other things, so you need to ensure that you're really focused in the committee as well as you're preparing for your finals. So be very careful about it depending on your interest. But being part of committee, and since NMMS has its own student-led fund Samriddhi, I was really interested in that, working in that particular area. So that helped me a lot. And plus one more thing, it helps add a pointer to your CV as well. So these are the four things I would say you focus on in MBA, and that's what I did, and I enjoyed my time, my 2 years.
Thank you, Soumya. Yes, Kajal, if you could explain again your life at a business school.
I think yes, CGPI cannot ignore because all will blame I'm a gold medalist there. So yes, it happened to me. I was not that kind of a person. Okay, that from day one you are just studying. So after first year, I realized that I'm somewhere near the top 10. So second year, after like after my fourth semester, I started putting more efforts uh, to be there. And yeah, in terms of like time allocation, I was also part of the finance committee in my college, like both in first year and second year. First year we call it the shadow members, and the second year the core members. So we conducted certain events, but at times it really became very hectic, I would say, because especially in the fourth trimester, because in our college fourth trimester is really heavy for finance people, and in the fourth trimester itself you have to conduct the conclaves, the business conclave for your committee and all. So at times it became very hectic, and it was pretty challenging because in fourth semester you'll also have this important corporate competitions for which, for your placements and all, you need to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
really focused upon. So I think be wise while you are choosing where you want to go and what all things you need to do. Don't overburden yourself with maybe committee or a lot of competitions when you really have something in place, like you don't know your what is going to happen about your placements. And if you also want to learn and study a lot, then I think be wise. Don't do everything at once. You have 2 years, maybe do some corporate competition at one time. At that time, don't overburden with other things. Maybe leave some other competitions for second year. So in that way you can allocate your time in certain ways. Don't try to do all four things at one time. You will screw up, and
Everything.
I would say you won't really get anything from
Yeah.
anything. So you will screw up your academics plus the competition you are into, plus maybe your placements. So be focused. If your PPO and other things are sorted out, then please try to like, if you have more interest left in your MBA, and you still want to learn, then obviously go for some competitions and brushing up your concepts, and maybe focus more on your academics. They help. They really do help.
I don't
I
think
would
after
like
a
to add.
PPO. Yeah, actually,
I
I
would like
think.
to add. Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
Leela, just 1 second. I think after a PPO, nothing, no sort of motivation is left to learn. This is very, very
I
common
don't think so.
across.
I don't think so. I don't think so. It completely depends. So that's exactly what I wanted to tell you is what is
Yeah.
important is you need to enjoy the process. You need to enjoy the process, however overwhelming it is, even in terms of learning, even in terms of acads, even in terms of placements. Just enjoy the process, because you know that these 2 years might be taxing, but at the end of 2 years, the you that you will become is going to be worth it. And even after a PPO, I got the PPO almost in the fourth trimester. That's like the first trimester of year 2. But still, I did not stop myself from learning. I did not stop myself from participating. I was there all the time, almost in college, or doing something or the other, preparing myself for something or the other. So don't lose that the willingness to kind of participate or opportunities to learn, because again, I would emphasize is that's the only last year, then you have the second year. These 2 years are there for your student life. Just make your best out of it. You won't get it back.
Thank you, Leela. So we'll just be wrapping up this session in the next 10 minutes. So just one advice, if you guys can just give them some advice from your side as to what should they actually focus on at this moment for the next couple of months, which can ensure that they do not face any issues in their summer. So we'll go one by one. So Soumya, you can start with it. Like last piece of advice from your side to these people.
So I would say these 3 months are the most crucial times. I'm sure your placements will be starting out in September. So be very dedicated. like the others have mentioned, if you can take part in competitions, nothing beats that. But don't lose your focus, because competitions are not your focus. Your focus is preparing for interviews, cracking the interviews, and once you're done cracking the interview, the dream company that you're hoping for, if you're done with that, then competitions can come later. It's just a matter of refining your skills, competitions. So I would say these 3 months, prepare yourself. It's a daily thing, guys. It's not like 3 days before let's say JP Morgan is coming and you're preparing for JP. It doesn't help. You need to start from day one, and every day keep refining your skills, keep adding more value, keep seeing what kind of interview questions are being asked. Ensure that you know head and tail of all the questions and you're confident in answering. Sometimes I used to look at the mirror and speak answer those questions, because it matters. Because when you go in front of the interview, it's difficult to comprehend whatever you have studied. So you need to prepare that way as well. And yeah, that's all that matters a lot. And don't underestimate yourself. Everyone is on the same boat. Don't think that they are your competitors. Everyone feels they are not capable. You just need to be yourself, and you are yourself, your own hard stick, like I mentioned in the beginning.
Thank you, Soumya. Yes, Ayushi.
Uh, yeah, so I would say that as far as possible, just read the newspaper daily so that you don't have the headache of just preparing about the industry or maybe the current affairs at the very last moment. You'll be prepared with it till the interview. Secondly, if you can participate in mock GDs or mock interviews, even if the college is not having such kind of things, maybe you can have your own group, or maybe suppose you can have a mock GD, a mock interview just with your roommate. So it'll help in both ways, because like there will be a person who will be asking the questions, and that person can even give you a right feedback. So if that can happen, that will be really good. And for technicals, if you can just work in group, so it becomes very easy because you're discussing and not just memorizing it. So if you can try to prepare it in that way and just enjoy the whole procedure, like don't just take so much of stress about anything, because everyone is at the same level. So you just need to enjoy your 2 years, like whatever comes, just do it implicitly.
Like you're just drawing a leaf out of whatever you said when it comes to mock GDs and stuff. Generally, colleges do have this thing organized by the placement committee where they have mock GDs and mock PIs. But in case you don't have, like what we did, what I did in my time was I used to sit down with my roommates and some of my friends who used to come over to my house, and we were like a group of 4 or 5 people. We used to take up a topic randomly from say today's newspaper, and we used to talk about it. But we tried to at least make ourselves more adept to how to face certain situations in a mock GD. So obviously you can do that probably in a group. And when it comes to technical rounds, be wise. So what I'm trying to say is try to understand. It's not just a biased thing, but try to form a group with some CAs, some CFAs, because these people have knowledge about finance. And whenever you want to network with someone who is already having a knowledge in finance and probably wants to build up a career in finance, like suppose you are an engineer, you don't have any knowledge about finance. Why do you want to team up with someone who is exactly similar, a similar type like you? Like he's an engineer and wants to pursue a career in finance, but does not know anything about finance. So try to team up with people who already have some sort of exposure into that field, so that you have different set of opinions. If you have a mechanical engineer with you and you are an electronics engineer, so what will be the differences? The perspective which you have towards the finance domain will be same. That is very tough. We do not know anything about accounting. So try to get in those people, network with those people, and try to get them in your group. तब जाके your technical skills, which you will improve over a period of time. See, when you talk to these people who are CFAs, CAs in your batch, obviously very first moment you'll not understand what these people will talk about, but by the time you'll understand, you'll start connecting the dots. It's all about connecting the dots. I mean, different things which you connect, and ultimately you land up at say a good amount of research, a good qualitative research from your side, maybe respect to current affair or any sort of company or industry. So network with people who are established in a particular field, not just with people who are starting off. Obviously, they'll be your friends, but make sure that you have a diverse group, which will help in maybe building that sort of technical skills as well, which you require as a finance student. Yes, Leela, you can probably give some sort of advice from your side.
Yeah, so maybe I mean, I completely agree with Soumya, Ayushi, and Harsh. So I would say whatever it is, start from today, because there'll be a lot of doubts. There'll be a lot of things that you'll need to actually prepare from, and do not keep postponing it. कि कल से, परसों से, because that doesn't work. And the first 2 to 3 months will be extremely hectic, will be extremely overwhelming, challenging, but do not give up, because you won't believe it. In the first 2 months of MBA, I had actually reached a level where I was wanting to give it up. And I actually came home. I told them, my parents were ready to speak to the dean. I was about to just give up MBA. This was my condition in the first 2 months. But that's when I decided I need to calm myself down. I need to take it easy. Like, don't stress yourself. Do not take that extra tension, and just let it be. Let it happen the way it's going. But just you do your duty. You prepare yourself. MBA teaches you all the critical thinking skills. It gives you the informal, formal types of leadership that you can kind of imbibe in you. It has so many 30 to 33 subjects with, I don't know, I think 20 to 25 hours each for each subject every trimester. So overall, in terms of your concepts, in terms of your case studies, you'll be well equipped even going forward in life. Whatever you all are doing, don't do it for your MBA, don't do it for your placement, do it for yourself, do it for your long term growth, is what I would say.
Yes, Kajal, the last person and last piece of advice from your side to these people.
आई थिंक आई विल से कि एंजॉय करो यार, इतना टेंशन मत लो. और एट टाइम्स हाँ शुरू में बहुत हेक्टिक लगेगा, लाइक दिस गाइस सेड. We all have felt the heat of MBA in the couple of few months, and even couple of few months of the second year. So when you think it's too much, कुछ चीजें कट करो, which is very important. Like you will see कि क्यों इतना hectic हो रहा है. Maybe you were trying to participate in some of the competitions, but you were not really, able to give your 100%, and you are not giving any justice to it, and even you are not getting anything in back. So postpone it, I will say. Certain things which you really want, say first trimester में अगर बहुत hectic हो रहा है and there is a competition that you really want, then participate, but cut out on the rest of the 9 competitions. और maybe अगर तुमको लग रहा है first trimester में इतना important कोई competition नहीं है, then maybe postpone it for the second trimester. So in that way थोड़ा सा खुद को relax करने का बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है, and burden कम करना अपना, and don't really make it very very hectic for you. So when you make it very hectic, tabhi hota hai, then you get the feeling of giving up and all those things, where you feel like a loser from within. So that's the worst feeling to have. So thoda chill raho yaar. That's all.
Okay, thank you. It's only by virtue of practice. You have to make teams, you have to participate in competitions. When you fail, that's when you understand that, okay, this thing is lacking in my team, this sort of expertise. I wanted to win this competition or maybe go ahead in this competition. That's what you realize. So there'll be no fixed team for you when you start participating. Obviously, you'll keep on changing, chopping and changing. And when you when you strike the right balance, that's when you start putting things from your side, like putting efforts. Because sometimes what happens is, if suppose we have 4 people in the team, you'll find only 2 people will be working and 2 people will be freeloaders. Freeloaders are people who do not work, who just be in your team just for the sake of maybe a certificate from that competition, or maybe just a winning sort of a memento. So you'll only get to know that over a period of time. You cannot get to know it virtually, firstly. Secondly, just by maybe start participating in these people, make some groups at this moment, 2-3 competitions you can give a try, and then you can sort of find a balance. Ki, theek hai, I'm good with these skills, someone else is good with this, so maybe we can strike a balance, and that's how you pair up with relevant people whom you think you can go ahead with competitions. But obviously, it's a trial and error, so there's no such formula where you can from the first day itself team up with, say, people CA CFAs, because these people also fail. They also have their limitations. So make sure that you do a lot of trial and error, and that's how you arrive at your like the ultimate team. Because generally what happened is, in my first year itself, I had changed more than 20 teams. And in my second year, when I met Leela, that's how she became my team member, and that's how I participated in all the competitions with her, because that's how I could strike a balance with her, and that's how it was easier for us to participate and win. So from the first to our last competition, we won every competition, whatever we participated in. So that's how you strike a balance. I mean, after my first year, I got this formula. If you start doing your trial and error from now onwards, maybe after 3 months you can get that. So good for you. So thank you, all the 4 panelists, for joining in, for your giving your valuable time. I know, I mean, I had promised you guys 1.5 or 2 hour sessions, but it extended to 2.5 hours. Obviously, finance people have a lot of queries. I hope we could answer most of the queries. Obviously, there'll be some which might not have been answered, and we will try to take them offline. Whatever questions I already have at hand, I try to address whatever we could do from our side. So thank you guys for joining in and for helping these out, and also thank you everyone who attended this session. Hopefully you could learn something from it, and that would make your MBA life, maybe in career in finance, a little bit more easier, and you'll probably have direction now, as in what direction you should probably work towards. You'll find out ways, and it's never too late in an MBA. Even if you realize your mistakes after 1.5 years, you'll still have six months to probably get your mistakes rectified. So do not lose out on any hope, any motivation, because the ups and downs and the peaks and valleys that we have seen in our MBA career, I mean, we can give motivational talks, motivational speeches to each and every person, whether it's from a finance specialization, whether it's from a marketing specialization. We have so many stories, I mean, which can motivate you guys to probably keep working hard, and not just give up in your MBA career. So on that note, I'll call it off, and thanks for joining in. Thanks to speakers. Thank you so much, Soumya, Ayushi, Leela, and Kali. Thank you.